Hello, this is a video response to Niall Ferguson's video on the LSE discussion about whether America will leave Europe and America's decline as hegemon. And as seen in the link vid to this video, you will see that they spoke about the rise of China, but there is the quiet rise of China. But have we realised about the quiet rise of Europe, the European Union? I don't believe that we have touched on this subject enough, and that's why I'm making this video. We seem to overrate China because China's huge population has a serious default and a serious problem, and that is the Chinese one-child policy. The Chinese one-child policy means that there will be a quick decline in the Chinese population as it reaches and overtakes the Americans in terms of its economic power. In truth, by 2030, Chinese population will be half of that of the United States population, but China will have an economy 4 times the size. Now, because of this, the Chinese may have an economic advantage over the United States, and surely a military advantage may follow. But what we must see is that the American spending on their military is structural. They are spending 10 times as much as the Chinese on their military, and qualitatively, in terms of quality that is, their military is far more engaged in actual war fighting than the Chinese have been. They will have veterinary experience from the soldiers who are now fighting in Afghanistan, and although their modes of thought of those soldiers may be formed by that conflict, they'll be able to give lessons through their war colleges that others cannot do. So here I must get onto the subject of American decline as hegemon. And we must make a distinction between the decline of America as hegemon to the decline of America and the decline of American power overall. As Professor Michael Cox said in this video link, to underrate America is to make a big mistake. Americans predicted the decline of their empire, and I have no problems calling it an empire, although it is a non-territorial empire. It's an empire whose imperial power is based on the weight of its economy and geography and the linguistic and cultural power of the United States as a nation. This power has rested on the link between the Anglo-Saxon powers of Britain and the United States, what Carroll Quigley called the Anglo-American establishment. But just as America was thought to have declined after the Vietnam War, then they got Ronald Reagan. Now, American exceptionalism has many different versions. You've had John F. Kennedy, who believed in the exceptionalism of America in technological terms, hence the space race. Then you had George Bush, on the other hand, who sought a military form of expansionism to prevent America's decline through the Iraq War, which he had personal motives for because Saddam Hussein tried to assassinate George Bush's father, as I said in my 9/11 video. But Bin Laden's evil bastards, check it out. But America has tried to fit this within its role as the central core of the international system which it's set up, which it oversees the reserve currency. Now, it doesn't just have the power of the reserve currency, which is linked to oil, and hence the relationship between the United States and Saudi Arabia. This is why they've been very cautious about talking about the Saudi Arabian invasion of Bahrain recently, which I'll do another video on. What they have done, though, with that money is buy up assets throughout the world in sovereign countries, and these have been backed up by military force. Now, during the Clinton times, you can start to see the decline of America, perhaps, but still within the global system is still the hegemon. At 1945, it had a power almost equivalent to Rome, in that it had a nuclear advantage that no one else had, which has since evaporated away. An economic advantage that no one else had. General Motors was the largest company in the world, and IBM was the largest company in the world, respectively, or in the United States. All Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union were eventually smashed. But with the global financial crisis, as I spoke about in many of my vids, and the Federal Reserve's monetary policy has seriously weakened the United States. Lehman Brothers started and caused the start of the financial crisis, which could have been solved with simply a loan from the Fed of $1 billion US in 2003 dollars. But this was not done. Instead, it was allowed to balloon up. And now, while America is in a reciprocal and parasitical relationship with China, where it needs Chinese consumer goods to fuel US consumer demand, and China needs US dollars to an investment to get its economy started, even though they're both overtly enemies. The quiet rise of China has been noticed, but the quiet rise of Europe has not. Europe now has a larger armed forces than the United States. It has a larger economy than the United States. It is affecting the regions, especially in North Africa, where the revolutions in Libya, Tunisia and Egypt have had far-reaching consequences, and we may see military action by the EU to help the democratic revolution succeed. What we can be sure of is that the United States is not going to leave Europe. It may be seen that it's always been a Pacific nation since the conquering of the West, and the importance of San Francisco and the trading routes across the Pacific, and the Philippines to the United States, and later Japan. But the United States is a European nation still, and its population is growing. In Northern Europe, the Northern European races of the Romans, Nordic and Celtic peoples who make up the European Union are growing, although there is a diminishing population in Southern Europe and Eastern Europe. What we'll see is the emergence of a maritime European Union led probably by Great Britain and Germany and France to make a European world. It will not be an Asian age, but a European age that follows the decline of the United States. The United States is looking for an exit strategy from being the world hegemon, and it will look to its European brother nation to achieve this. It may even include Russia becoming part of the European Union, and the United Kingdom achieving the euro as its currency. What is certain is that I am pro the European world view, that Europe will succeed and eventually get stronger than the United States, militarily as well as politically, which it already is, economically, which it already is. It's because the Americans need a cushion to rest on as they decline to become a normal nation state, a federalised nation state, but yet a normal nation state within the global economic framework, which will be led by a reserve currency of the euro. This is what I believe. Why do I believe this? Because every crisis that the European Union has gone through, it's emerged stronger. It thrives on crisis, it thrives on adaptability, and it thrives on becoming a Europe that is more and more democratic. The United States was not strictly a democracy when it started off. It was a constitutional republic, but yet more freedoms were won, just as in Great Britain. More and more of the Constitution was written down, and those freedoms and the rights of Englishmen were passed through by Thomas Paine to the United States. And as the victorious British conquered Europe, now the rights of Englishmen will be revealed to all of Europe, and we will see an Anglo-Saxon Europe. Thank you for listening.